Okay, yesterday, first thing what we have done is we have analyzed myth, right? So we have analyzed myth, and then we spoke about totemism. Then we spoke about totemism. So you need to understand. Yesterday, like you were a little confused what he was saying, that he's talking about totems, grouping, gathering, all these things, right? But you need to basically understand that Radcliffe Brown talked about totemism. So Radcliffe Brown said that there are clans, and clans are associated with plants and animals known as totems. Okay, and these totems, they follow exogamy. That means exogamy. Why are they following exogamy? In order to establish. See, they don't marry from their own totem. So, see, totem creates a kind of opposition to themselves. Okay, so a totem, that means totem is creating a feeling that they are unified and they are different from others. You're getting my point. So when you say that we belong to this group, that means you don't belong to other group. So because of that, there is differentiated feeling, and that has been overcome through exogamy. Right. So his focus was on understanding the solidarity that is built, how the relationships are made. But for Levi Strauss, he says that suppose you have snake, one totem is snake, other totem is eagle. So now he considers these totems to be in opposition to each other. They are in binary opposition. Sky versus the ground. Okay, so they are treating themselves in binary oppositions. Now totems doesn't have any direct value by themselves, but they are good to think with. That means by thinking in this way, you can arrange your social relationships in the society. So what he believes is that this way of giving totems to the groups is based on binary oppositions and the social relationships that are there in the society. Okay, based on this, they'll know who belongs to their own good relations and who is opposite to them. So, according to Levi Strauss, totems are used for understanding how they have to establish social relations, in what way they have to organize, and what how they should act with which group, and who are related to them in what manner, who are close to them, who are against them. Okay, so he doesn't call it a kind of belief. Okay, he didn't see totemism or the totem belief as a concept of supernatural or something. Rather, he is trying to see it as social, similar to Radcliffe Brown. Even Radcliffe Brown saw that it establishes a social relationship. So there he is talking about social strengthening and solidarity. Here he is talking about how you organize your society. So he is just taking totems as a symbols of language, okay, symbolic language, how to organize your social relationships. This is his ultimate finding. So he said that when you have to understand how they are organized, he has classified the nature and culture into varieties. That is nature, See, there is category and particular. So you can have a particular animal and it belongs to particular family also, right? So I told you example of cats, and if you take tiger alone, that becomes particular. But when you say cat family, that means it includes lions, cats, and all other things. Okay. In the culture, you have individuals and groups. Okay. So what is it? You observe the totemism, what is being followed. If you look at it properly, it is the classification between the nature and culture. Culture means humans, nature means plants and animals. So it's a binary opposition between the nature versus culture. Okay, so here you take a category can be given to individuals, a category can be given to group as well. Okay, for an individual also, for a group also. Same in the same manner, particular animal can be given to a group, particular animal can be given to an individual also. So he just said that you can understand the way social relations are established in the system, how they should understand, how they should behave, how they should organize in the society. The totems help them in doing that. He said utility and all those things doesn't make any sense to him. He says that totems are the ones which help in organizing the social relations. So that is the finding of it. So with whom you have to behave, in what manner, can be understood by the thinking process of us versus them, nature versus culture. So by using these totems, you are classifying the groups. By classifying, you are establishing relationships with them. Clear? What is he trying to say? You should understand this difference what Ratcliffe Brown has focused and Levi-Strauss. Ratcliffe Brown focused on the social relations which are going to strengthen because of exogamy, and that helps in maintaining the structure, because of which it continues to the next generation. But whereas he focuses on how I should behave with this group, this group, this group. How am I going to know it? So they have used totems to think. They are good to think with. So you can organize, right? So by using totems, so you'll understand what way you have to interact. Is this clear? So this is the understanding of totem and the concept of totemism by Levi-Strauss. And then you have kinship. So yesterday this might look some little confusing what classification they are doing, but nature can be divided into two types, category and particular, and culture can be divided into two, permutations and combinations. By seeing this, what he would try to say is that this is used for classification and establishing relationships, social relationships between the people and groups within the society. Okay, so here he uses other example also. So there is beer clan, okay, and there is turtle clan. Previously it was beer versus turtle, so this was the opposition. Now what happened? Slowly beer clan got extinct. So now what happens? Within the turtle itself, yellow and red turtles or black turtles, that differentiation started. So they try to establish that relations. Okay, these binary oppositions are not constant. With the time, they get changed also. It's not always the same. Okay, so just note down this thing. I think when you write down, it will be more clear for you. So you know what is totem and totemism, right? Write down. Structural analysis of totemism. Levi-Strauss method of structural analysis of totemism. Levi-Strauss Levi-Strauss method. You can keep semicolon, structural analysis of totemism. So his method is pure structuralism. His method is pure structuralism. Point number one. Define the phenomenon. Define the phenomena. Define the phenomena as relations. Define the phenomena as relations. Okay. Semicolon. Totemism is about connections. Totemism is about connections. Totemism is about connections between two series. Totemism is about connection between two series. One is nature. Nature, in the bracket you can write animals and plants. And culture. In bracket groups, comma people. Okay, next point. List out the permutations. List out the permutations. See, first point, define the phenomena as relations. So that is totemism is about connections between two series, that is nature and culture. And the next step what you will do is list out the permutations, that is map out all the possible ways they relate. Okay. So second, list the permutations and map out all the possible ways they relate. Then analyze the system. Then analyze the system using empirical cases. Analyze the system using empirical cases as just one combination within the broader logic. As one combination within the broader logic. So first, within the broader logic, so what is he saying? First, what is he talking about? Totem is a connection between nature and culture. See all the permutations and combinations. Now analyze the empirical cases. That means analyze the reality. If you look at people, different names, different combinations, you'll notice. But see it within the broader logic. See it as one thing. Okay. So he splits nature into category and particulars, and culture into groups and individual. Okay, groups or persons, groups and persons. And for this, you have some examples that you can write. Next, you write this as well. So he splits nature into categories and particulars, and culture into groups and individuals. Okay, so you have understood what is he trying to say through totemism, right? He is trying to say that it is the connection that is established between the nature and culture. Through this, what is happening? Through this, they are trying to understand how people think, how humans think through opposition. It's not the totems themselves, it's the it's a gap between them. Okay, so it's not about the totems, it's not about the bird, snake, but what is the gap between them that matters. Okay, how close they are, how different they are. Okay, so like some animal group is close to other animal group, but some animal group is animistic to other, so the gap is huge there, the gap is less here. So depending upon that gap, you will also establish the same kind of relations in reality. So you are trying to classify your social relations based on the totems. You are understanding, right? So if two animals clans are present, these two animal clans are very close to each other. So if animals are close to each other, then animal clans also they'll try to replicate the same in reality. This is the understanding of Levi-Strauss. Are you clear? So it is not about the totems themselves, but it is the gap between them. So how close they are, how far they are. Okay. So that's why he considers totems are good to think. A mental tool, it's a mental tool, but it's a mental tool, but not a sacred rule. So what people were saying that it is sacred worship, belief on. So he says that it's a mental tool to classify things and organize the social relations rather than acting as a sacred rule. So just note down. It's a good to think. Write down like Levi-Strauss says totemism is how Levi-Strauss says totem totemism is how humans think through oppositions. Hmm? Both are same. Here, if you are saying opposition, that means binary opposition only. There are two only, right? They are not multiple. So humans think through oppositions, and it full stop. It's not the totem. It's not the totems themselves. It's not the totems themselves that matter. It's not the totems themselves that matter, but it's the gaps between them. But it's the gaps between them. But it's the gaps between them that echo the gaps between the people. Not the totems themselves that matter, but it's the gap between them that echoes the gap between the people. That means that shows the gap between the people. Whatever the gap between the totems you have, it is showing the gap between the people, right? Clear? So, any doubt in totemism of Levi Strauss? So, because somebody is given elephant as totem, that doesn't mean that they would be eating the grass. They are vegetarian. It's not trying to show that. It is not direct linking with the totem, but he says that the opponent, so the combination of totems that is there, So it is not to link directly with the totem, but the relation that you have to establish with the other group. What relation you should establish, how you should be behaving with the other groups to understand that you have totem, not to link directly. So this is his way of understanding through structuralism. So if you have to understand totemism, then you have to classify. So he believes that totemism is connection between nature and culture, and then you see the permutations, combinations, and see them under one combination and analyze them. Through that, you will get to understand that how the social relationships are being established within the society. Clear? So totems adapt to the reality. I told you, right? They adapt to the reality. Because suppose one clan has gone away, they have become extinct. So they change, they shift to the new combination. Okay, so suppose there is turtle. I told you, right? Some gray versus yellow. They'll divide further. So now only turtle is left. So within that they'll further classify. So he believes that that totems are not static, they are dynamic and they adapt to the reality. So these are the understandings with respect to totemism by Levi-Strauss. So I hope you are clear with it, because tomorrow you should not have any confusion between what Ratcliffe Brown has said and what Levi-Strauss has said. They can ask this question in the exam, because in the class students feel that it's comfortable that we will write all the names and findings. But if you don't know what exactly they are saying, then you won't be able to write the differentiation between them. So here it's clear, right? Bhaskar, any doubt? Next, we are having kinship, contribution to kinship. So before going to that, should I take up the Asdiwal myth? I told you, right? Asdiwal. You should know the story. PYQ doesn't matter. Because I told you, right? You can answer the same PYQ by using what you have already done in the Oedipus myth. So you should know what is he talking about. What are myths? What are mythemes? What are mythemes? Yesterday I explained in the class. They've asked this question in the past. Methemes are nothing but the constants which maintain the meaning of the myth. So suppose we have seen, right, that so and so person killing so and so, and in the other somebody is trying to express close blood relationships. Other is hatred, right? Overrating of blood relation, underrating. You have seen this, right? So those are the constants. Those are the methemes. Because in any story, you can tell the same thing. You replace the names and you tell Oedipus, in place of Oedipus, you can give extra any other name, right? You can tell whatever name you want and you can tell the myth. And but in the myth, you maintain this constant. Somebody is very close, somebody is killing. So overall, you are trying to find out, you are keeping the unconscious level to be same. You are trying to tell that whether humans are originated because of union between man and woman or because of the supernatural creation. So those things are the methemes. Methemes are something which are the constants which enables to maintain the meaning of the myth consistently. So meaning of the myth won't change because of the methemes. Methemes are something, the meaning will be same. So you can change all the names and you can replace with the other. But entirely again after analyzing you will get the same finding, right? So you will see in binary opposition, overrating, underrating, belief of thonic existence, denial of thonic existence. So ultimately it is coming to there only, right? So me themes you should know. Anyhow, I'll give the notes. Don't worry about it. But I have said you in the class yesterday as well. So myths, myths are nothing but the stories that relate to the supernatural beings, right? And mystical things. And me themes are something within the myths. There are certain parts, constituent parts of the myth, which maintains or consistently ensures the meaning of the myth is unchanged. Because of them, meaning of the myth won't change. You can change every other thing, you can tell a new story altogether, but the meaning will be the same. So we might have listened many people telling the king stories, many grandmothers keep telling the king stories, right? But ultimately all the stories will come there only, they'll tell the same meaning, king went and killed the enemy and good has prevailed over the evil. So they want to convey the same thing. So ultimately the meaning remained the same. Why did the meaning remain the same? Because the me themes, which were the constants, so they were same. But only thing what changed was the namings, wordings. Those were the things that have changed. Okay, so that you need to know. See, story of Asdival myth. Here, the tale begins with a woman on the coast. So there is. I just thought of creating an image with AI, but I didn't have time. So the woman resides on the coast. Okay, so she is the widow. She already lost her husband. Coast, in the coast. Let me. Okay, woman is residing on the coast. So in the coast, what you notice near the sea, abundance of food, right? Plenty of fish. Her husband is no more. So what happens is one day, so during the night time, a bird from the high sky. I'm not able to remember how bird is done. Okay. Okay. So a bird from the high sky descends. Don't laugh at my diagrams. I draw whatever that is related to the subject in a proper manner only. Okay. So I'm not sure which bird to draw. That's why it's like that. So high, from the high sky, a bird descends, which is a supernatural being with feathers. Okay. So now this supernatural being and the woman conceives a child that is known as Asdival. The child conceived. So you can see from the starting of the story itself the binary opposition, high sky and the ground, right? Sky and the earth. Right here, the opposition of high versus low emerges. The sky is divine and distant, and earth is human and grounded. You can see the binary opposition starting from here itself. So the Asdival's very existence starts to reconcile this. That means he is a bridge, or he is half bird or half human. Okay, he is either half bird or half human, right? So which is tying to the this celestial world to the terrestrial world. So the very existence of Asdival is based upon binary oppositions. Okay, now Asdival grows up on the coast, a world of water. So you have plenty of food. But what happens is that now the woman remarries and goes to inland. His mother remarries and goes to inland. So she remarried, went to the inland. She stayed by the river Skina. This is the river. River Skina. So are you getting, follow the story properly? What happened so far? Tell me what has happened so far. Story. Ah, not bank of the river, coast of the sea. So first thing, that there was a woman who is residing nearby the coast sea where there is plenty of fish, and now once she's already a widow because her husband is gone. So during one night, a bird from the sky with so much of light and feathers descends, and she conceives a child with the bird who is known as Asdiwal. Now here itself we can understand the binary opposition between the sky and the earth, the celestial body, celestial versus terrestrial, and half human, half bird. So here the Asdiwal's existence itself shows that it is reconciling the two worlds. So he is reconciling the two worlds. So after a point of time, she again remarries and gets into the inland where there are mountains, rugged terrain, where the food is difficult, and there is one river known as River Skina. So now they have moved into the interiors of the place. Okay, where there are mountains. From the mountains, you see the river. So now here you can understand one more binary opposition, that coast versus interior. The coast offers fish and you have plenty of food, while the interior brings scarcity and struggle. So Asdiwal, now an young man, hunts with his stepfather. So now she married and she went inside, right? Now Asdiwal will go along with his stepfather and hunt, but they face starvation, which is a sign of nature, wild and uncontrolled. So they went inside. Now they need food. To find food, they were trying. So hunger is part of the nature, right? So nature is wild, uncontrolled. It gives you hunger. But then comes the turning point. Asdiwal meets an evening star. Asdiwal meets an evening star who is nothing but a princess from the sky. Now again, ground versus sky, earth versus the sky. Okay. So she descends to marry him. The princess of the stars descended to marry. Okay, so what is the name of the princess from the sky? That is evening star. So she comes, she marries, but along with her while coming, she brings snowshoes, which helps him climb the mountains and hunt mountain goats with ease. So now again, the shoes shows the cultural part. Hunting is part of the nature. Wild. So again, the binary opposition, nature versus culture, clash happen. Hunger is the nature, snowshoes is the culture. So the snowshoes now reconcile this opposition. Nature versus culture opposition is reconciled. That means it is trying to connect, right? So taming the wild landscape. Snowshoes now what are they helping? So that he goes through that wild landscape and can feed his family, blending natural need with cultural mastery. So natural need is hunger. So with the help of snowshoes, he is hunting, right? So now nature and culture are being met. Okay, so natural need is being met through culture. So oppositions are unified. I told you, right? So there is unity of oppositions. One cannot exist with the other. One cannot exist without other. So evening star and Asdiwal will have a son, further linking sky and the earth. So they live inland, but again trouble keeps coming. That means the stepfather dies. Asdiwal decides he want to come back to the coast again. he takes evening star and the sun back to the sea, where he hunts sea lions with his father-in-law. So now the evening star's father. Okay, he hunts the sea lions over there. So how he hunts the sea lions? Through the skills that he has earned through the snowshoes. Okay, so now you can understand that Asdiwal's journey reconciles. He thrives in both in his snowshoe working inland, his hunting prowess at the sea. So the myth doesn't choose one over the other. So you can see the myth. The myth is not choosing one over the other. It shows them as two sides of his life connected by his movement. So in the myth, you don't see that either it is choosing one or the other. It is showing both sides of his life. Rather, it is trying to show the movement of this person connects this both sides of the life, inland and coast. So, but the story shifts because Evening Star will go to the sky, leaving the Asdiwal on the earth. He remarries an earthly woman on the coast, but jealousy erupts. Okay, because his new brother-in-laws will challenge him. So this rivalry reflects the nature's raw competition. In the natural life, you have the competition. Okay, and this nature is having raw competition backed into his cultured life. The, how did he get into this competition? Because he got married to him. So that is culture. So nature creeps into the creeps back into the cultured life. So Asdiwal will flee inland again, climbing the mountain, a place between high and low. So that means there is high and low, right? A place between high and low. He flees onto the mountain along with his son. And here, both of them turn to a stone. You can see one is life, other is death. Petrification. Petrification means becoming a stone. Petrology, you know, right? So, petrification talks about becoming a stone. So, it is neither life energy nor death's permanence. It is in between. Stillness. Okay, so Asdiwal's vibrant travels here and there shows the life. Stillness shows the death. This petrification reconciles that he doesn't just die, he becomes a rock. He doesn't just die, but he becomes a rock. He's what is it doing? It is merging death and life, right? So now story doesn't doesn't make any sense to the syllabus of the exam. But what is found from the story makes sense. Okay, we have seen Oedipus myth. The story itself does not make any sense to us. But how we have analyzed the story and found out what is there at the unconscious level. Here, since the beginning itself, I have been telling you what is there at the unconscious level, how the binary oppositions are present every part. So from there, what he has done, he will read the story. There is a woman who is living on the coast. Then the bird comes. She has a child who gets into the interior. She moves into the interior. Then there is struggle. So when there is struggle, okay, you will she remarries. So with the with the stepfather, he goes for hunting. At that point of time, it's very difficult to hunt. Doesn't get food. Then a star comes and he marries. She brings his shoes through which he can easily climb the mountains and hunt the goats. Now again, After a point of time, he comes back to the coast, and in the coast, like because there his stepfather dies, now he comes back to the coast. In the coast, he hunts the sea lions. He knows very good hunting, but there was, what was the problem? For them to hunt, you need some specific skills. That why snowshoes has come. So again he comes here, hunts the sea lions. uh, the evening star leaves, evening star will go away. Okay, and he marries a earthly woman, so who is from the earth itself. And then what happens is that the brothers of that woman who he gets married develops jealous, so there is a fight between them. Now he has a son with this earthly woman. He takes the son, he runs away, and he gets onto the mountain between the high and the low, and somewhere in between they convert it to the stone. So now this stone is neither life nor death, it is mixing the both things. So you see multiple binary oppositions that exist. So ultimately here what you need to understand is that how the nature versus culture is reconciled through various acts. So that is the ultimate story. So how you will be doing? So how you will be writing the answer? You will say that Asdival as a mediator figure is oscillating between the opposites to reflect the Simian, Simician myths. Okay. So what Levi-Strauss understood is that he's a mediator. We have seen half bird, half human, right? Celestial, terrestrial is in between. So coastal trade versus inland hunt, sky spirits versus earthly kin. So in his words, the myth reduces contradictions by letting Asdival leave them out. So these contradictions will outlive. So he outlived the contradictions, then fixing him in stone as a symbolic compromise. So the story doesn't erase the opposition. The oppositions will not go away, but balances them through the actions and fate. So you are trying to balance the oppositions. You are not erasing the oppositions. So he tries to say that there are binary oppositions that do exist. So you need some mediator who balance it. So here Asdiwal tried to balance the oppositions, not erase the oppositions. So this is what is finding from the myth. Did you understand? There also you have the same thing, the supernatural existence or the creation out of the humans. So that is the opposition. Opposition do exist. So you are trying to understand what is there at the unconscious level of the mind. So here from this you are trying to understand what is there at the unconscious level through this story. They are trying to say that there are oppositions and these oppositions are mediated. So Asdiwal is somebody who is mediating. Any doubts? Just think and ask if you come across any doubts. Just think for a few minutes, you might come across some doubts. So once you have the doubts, I'll try to clarify. So let me explain you the oppositions that you see. In the story, Asdiwal birth ties sky, that is bird father, and human mother, earth, sky and earth. So his marriage to evening star brings the sky down to the earth, and their son extend this bond. So they have the son. So this son extends this bond, and at the end, what happens? Finally, they are resting as a stone on the mountain, sits between the two realms, between the earth and the sky. Now also they are in between. So high versus low is the binary opposition that you notice, sky versus earth. Then coast versus interior, right? Nature versus culture. Hunger is nature which threatens existence in the inland. But again, the snowshoes is culture which saves him. So the snowshoes are the mediators. Okay, snowshoes are the key mediator culture which tames the nature's chaos. So snowshoes is part of the culture which is addressing the nature's chaos. That means hunger. Clear, right? Life versus death. See, petrification, that means becoming a rock isn't just death. It's a transformation. As the walls, lively deeds live in the rock. A permanent fixture. Okay, so rock is a permanent fixture. So whatever the lively deeds that are there, they are there in the rock. That defies the total death. It is defying the total death. So both it's existing in between. It's a combination of it. So these are all the binary oppositions you find from the story. So everywhere humans think in similar manner, that is binary oppositions. It's a general tendency. So what is the role of structuralist? To understand what people are thinking at the unconscious level by breaking them into binary oppositions. So he tried to understand what people are thinking at the unconscious levels. If you see normally, do you think all these oppositions in the story? Nothing, right? But entire life is working on oppositions according to Levi-Strauss. Next is contribution to kinship. So the major work of Levi-Strauss is elementary structures of kinship. What are elementary structures of? What do you mean by elementary structures of kinship? These are nothing but marriage rules which explicitly prescribe or prefer particular kins or particular relatives as spouses or specific categories of relatives as spouses. So these systems are elementary because they rely on clear positive rules. That means whom to marry. Positive rules tells that where and whom to marry. Clear? So why do you call it elementary? Because it is relying on the positive rules rather than leaving made choice open-ended. Rather than telling you, okay, you can marry anyone whomever you want to. They're telling specifically. That's why they're elementary. So he contrasts these elementary structures with the complex structures. Complex structures means marriage governed by prohibitions and individual choice. So if you see in complex structures, you will tell that you should not marry your siblings. There are some prohibitions. And then you have individual choice whom to choose outside. So those are complex structures. These are elementary structures. So he divides these marriage rules into two types, elementary structures and complex structures. Within the elementary structures, you have two types. One is restricted exchange, or symmetric. Other is asymmetric or generalized. There it's restricted. Here it is generalized. Generalized exchange or indirect exchange. So there restricted exchange, symmetric exchange or direct exchange. Here it is indirect exchange or asymmetric exchange. So why should the exchange happen? That is the question. First you should know what work he has done. what he is trying to say. But why did he say it? Why should the exchange happen? So we have seen that Marcel Mauss is the one who has influenced Levi-Strauss. In the beginning, along with the John Jacobson, we have seen Marcel Mauss, right? John Jacobson's influence, where did you see? Hmm? Seeing culture as a language and trying to analyze entire culture through language. What are you trying to do in totemism? You are taking the words and seeing how they are related. What do you call in myth also? What did you do? You took the words, you tried to arrange them in binary operation. Why did you choose a language as symbol? Why did you choose it? Why are you choosing language? Language is a product of mind. If you have to study what is there inside the mind, you have to study its products. So myth is a product of mind, language is a product of mind. Now you can use them to study it. Clear? Now, why should women be exchanged? Why should there be exchange of? What he believes is that in the earlier times, there is patriarchal society. So he believes there is patriarchal society and people were living in groups. They were hunting. Now what happens is that there was theory given by E.B. Taylor. E.B. Taylor says that if you want to survive, either you fight or you exchange. Because you know the gift concept we have seen, the exchange of gift not only creates the relation but also creates an obligation between the two. In the past, we have seen like here there is binary opposition between the groups, us versus them. Two groups are there. Now it is us versus them. So, in order to overcome this opposition, to reconcile, there is a need for exchange. Because exchange of something will create good relation. Okay, so it creates a bond and obligation. What you will exchange in the early days? Either you will exchange what items you have, what goods you have, services you have. But in the past, everybody used to do hunting. What is that to exchange? Say they'll say that they too have it. Next, you'll exchange ideas. Ideas were also same because the economy was similar. There is no development, right? Now, what is left is either exchange of men or women. But he assumed that earlier society was patriarchal in nature, and because of that, they exchanged women, which reconciled this binary opposition of us versus them. So that is the reason the exchange of women happened. And he says that the exchange, how it has to be done, is prescribed. That means they have said who positive rules. That means whom you should marry is defined. So from there, in the elementary structures of kinship, he divided that into two types. That is restricted exchange, direct exchange, or symmetric exchange. What does this mean? That means there is mother, mother's brother. Okay, and other group mother, mother's brother. So there is group A, group B. So instead of marrying within, there is exchange between the group. So there is a group A. Group A will give to group B. Woman is given, and exchange of woman happens here. So woman goes in both directions. They'll give the woman, they'll give the woman. So it's a direct exchange. Restricted exchange. You cannot give to others. It should be within these two groups, mother's family and the brother's family. This exchange should continue. This is the restricted exchange. What is the generalized exchange? Within the generalized exchange, you have various types of. Generalized exchange means women are exchanged in one way. So A group will give to B group will give to C group will give to D till Z, and again from Z you will have to A. It forms a cyclical exchange. This is also known as cyclical exchange. Women are exchanged in one way cyclical pattern across multiple groups, not directly reciprocated between the two groups. There you have direct reciprocation, but here in the direct exchange or restricted exchange, since it is going in same way, that's why it's called symmetry. And since it is restricted, it's called restricted, and it's a direct exchange. Here it is indirect exchange. Okay, they are getting the woman back, but not from the same person, but from the different. So there are subtypes in this indirect exchange. So one is matrilineal cross cousin marriages. Matrilineal cross cousin, what does this mean? A man marries mother's brother's daughter. Matrilineal cross cousin. Matrilineal cross cousin. Who is matrilineal cross cousin? Mother's a man marries, focus here, man marries mother's brother's daughter, not the father's sister's daughter. So here mother's brother's daughter is married. That's why, see, this is she is the matrilineal cross cousin. If father, sister, daughter, she is called as patrilineal cross cousin. So matrilineal cross cousin is married. So here group A gives woman to group B, and the group B men marries group A's woman. Group A gives woman to group B. So that means group B man is marrying group A's woman, but give their woman to the next. Okay, so they'll give their woman to group C because only matrilineal cross cousin. So now again to his sister's daughter he will be giving his son. So now these two people will have children. These people are married, right? Now from here the woman has come from here to here. Now you see here these people have, so when these people marry they'll have son and daughter. Now here this person will be marrying the mother's daughter, mother's brother's daughter. So it will be to the next group. It is not from the same group. Are you getting my point? A man marries mother's brother's daughter, but not his father's sister's daughter. This is matrilineal cross cousin marriages. Here group A gives woman to group B, and group B men is marrying, but they'll give their own woman to group C, and the cycle will continue. So A to B, B to C, C to back to Z again A. Then other is patrilineal cross cousin marriages. This is less common. Patrilineal cross cousin marriages is less common. So group A woman is given to group B in one generation, and in the next generation group B will give to group A, not group C. I'll tell you what is happening in the first A to B to C to D, E. it goes in this way and it will come back. And in the other, what happens? In one generation, first it will go to A to B. In the next generation, it will come from B to A. Then again in the third generation, fourth generation or third generation, it will go to A to B. So in every next generation, it is exchanged. So which system is better here now? Matrilineal cross cousin or patrilineal cross cousin? Which? Cycle. Why? Because it's looking good. This is the better one because the bond is between two groups which is continued for long, right? For over a period of generations, you are having that strong relation. Here, you are not sure where the woman is going and from where it is coming. So, there is no unity. Strong unity is not noticed there. Here, there is strong unity among them, right? They'll act as a group. So, this is the classification that he has done with respect to kinship relations. So, on what basis exchange of women happens? One is binary oppositions. Everywhere humans thinks in binary oppositions, us versus them, and the other is exchange of gift creates a positive relation between the group, which creates an obligation. Okay, if they are giving women, there is obligation on the other person that they should not harm them. So, because of this reason, everywhere people think in same way, and exchange of gift will create a positive relation. At the same time, what you should exchange at that point of time, they have nothing but other than women to exchange. That resulted in the kinship. So, you need to understand how the kinship is understood. So, kinship is based on exchange. Okay, so you will be learning theory of descent and theory of alliance. So, here alliance, this is nothing but what we have discussed is alliance theory. Alliance theory is nothing but why you are exchange, how the kinship relations are built. How do you form kins? Is it based on blood or is it based on exchange or marriage? So, here importance is given to marriage because he says that the relation is built through exchange of women that creates alliance and the kin relations. So, why the alliance will happen? Because everywhere people will think in binary oppositions, us versus them, and in order to reconciliate between the group, there is a need for exchange because according to Marcel Mauss, gift will create a strong positive relation between them and obligation between the groups. So, henceforth, they believe that exchange would result in the cooperation, okay, between the groups instead of conflict. So, they will avoid conflict and there would be cooperation. How the cooperation is brought? So, at that point of time, they believe they have nothing but to exchange the women. That's why the cooperation has been brought. So, that led to alliance and alliance will build the kinship relations. So, kinship can be understood in two ways. One is you are just marrying to produce children. So, lineage based. So, that means father, children, their children. So, when you observe through descent, so that is known as descent theory, where descent sees that marriage is only for reproduction purpose, it does not have any utility value. Here kinship, it is doing so much of utility, right? It has solved multiple problems here and it has created kin relations. So according to him, marriage is important and alliance is important. That's why alliance is the main thing to understand kinship according to Levi-Strauss. So this is alliance theory. We will be studying descent theory also again, and then also I'll explain the alliance theory. But this is what alliance theory is. That alliance theory talks about kinship. How is it developed? It is developed on the basis of exchange based on the binary oppositions. So everywhere people think in binary oppositions, and at the same time exchange of women, because of the gift exchange it will create the positive relations, and that is how it starts. And within that you have multiple types: direct exchange or restricted exchange, then indirect exchange. Within that you have symmetrical exchange, asymmetrical exchange, symmetrical, asymmetrical. Within that indirect exchange, I told you there are two types: matrilineal cross cousin marriages, patrilineal cross cousin marriages. Patrilineal cross cousin marriages have strong bond because in one generation they'll give to other group, in the other next generation other group will give to this group. So because of this, strong bond is established. Whereas in the matrilineal cross cousin marriages, what happens, it goes in a cyclical manner, so because of which there is no strong unity, because you are not sure in the next generation you will meet from the other group, right? That's why there is no continuity in the group. So this is with respect to his kinship classification, but it has been criticized for the reason that you are treating women as a commodity. And binary oppositions everywhere, psychic unity of mankind is also criticized. What is the proof for it? And you cannot say that everywhere people think in same manner. And in multiple places, kinship relations cannot be understood through these elementary structures. In the Africa, you can understand how the kinship system are functioning through based on descent. But whereas kinship systems can be understood based on alliance in the Philippines and Indonesian region. So both the things are helpful, but one cannot give an universal approach. So that's why this has been criticized. However, it is helpful in some of the regions. If you have to understand kinship in those regions, Borneo and others, in the Indonesia and Philippines region, there you need the alliance theory to understand how kinship relations are built. This is his contribution to kinship theory. Is it clear? Same thing, just you write in the technical terms. Okay. And one more important thing is that when we said you should marry from outside, why not marry within your own group? Because see, kinship, I told you, people think in oppositions. People think in oppositions, us versus them. They want to establish cooperation within them. That is one reason. The other reason is that incest taboo, which he considers this is present since the beginning of humans. So pre-social social fact. That means this social fact or this norm is there even before the creation itself. So he said since the beginning you have this. So when since the beginning you have, you cannot marry within your own group, then you will obviously marry from the other. So this is leading to positive rules from where to marry, whom to marry. First, us versus them, conflict. So now you know that by marrying this group, you will be able to establish the cooperation. So you will tell from where to marry. That is positive rule. And you will also tell from where not to marry because of incest taboo. So this is with respect to kinship relations. So now you try to explain me. So totemism we have understood, right? It's done. So what is the criticism? Criticism, basic criticism is that first he said conscious models. First he said the models conscious, unconscious, right? He calls models, mental models, to be homemade models. He uses one more word known as homemade models. Homemade means The people have created those models, or people are following those models. But he also said there is unconscious, which people don't even know. If there are unconscious models, then how can they become homemade models? If even if they are not aware, they're not even aware. Unconscious things. You are only making those model, and you are again saying they're homemade models. So that is one drawback. Okay, one flaw with respect to his methodology. And second thing is that it is very difficult to create binary oppositions in all the areas. So exactly how to define what is binary opposition is a difficult thing. Classifying things into binary oppositions, it's not always possible. You have to pick and choose whatever you want. So that gives rise to subjectivity. So one people will give one meaning, other person will come and study and they'll give other meaning. So at the unconscious level, what is present? So no clarity how to establish binary oppositions. So there is no scientific method for it. He did not give any method to identify. Second thing, he has considered binary opposition to be universal. Everywhere people are thinking in same manner. So psychic unity of mankind, which is already criticized, has come back. So again, it's an imagination. It is not evidence backed. Then feminists criticize him for the purpose that woman is seen as a good for exchange, right? So these all criticisms you have to write with some scholars, name of some scholars, which I'll be giving. So that is the understanding of structuralism. So our motto is to understand what is it, right? So I hope you're clear, because this is the thought where people feel difficulty, because you need not remember everything. Once you understand, you can write in your own words. If you try to remember, then you cannot write structuralism answer. It's very difficult. 3-4 points maximum. After that, you won't be able to frame it. Once you understand, you write in your own words. You just know what is the exact meaning. That's it. You know in which book he has given, what classification he has given, and inside it, it's your own understanding that you have to write. Right. So with this, we are done with structuralism.